What started from a cut foot and blood in the water became a lifetime pursuit of the unlocking the scientific code to a synthetic bait that we know today as fish bites. Dr. William Carr's legacy lives on in every single bag that we buy. So today, we're going to discuss that. That's right, everybody. We're talking to fish bites. So sit down, get comfy, get that notepad out because you know you're going to want to take some notes on this because there's going to be some good stuff. You're listening to Find a Demo Surf Fishing. Let's get on. Man, it's like every week when I know I'm going to record, I get more and more excited. Just keep getting pumped up for every episode that's coming. And this week's definitely been no different. I have been jazzed up since we started getting this one even on paper. So it's only going to get better as we go through this. And I'm pumped, super pumped. So I hope y'all are too. It's going to be a fun episode. We got some great stuff for you here. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Brett Burford, sir. Good afternoon.
Glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, I'm glad that you guys were able to come on. This has been a lot of fun planning this conversation. So before we get into the fish bite stuff, I actually want to talk to you a little bit, and then we're going to get into the products. Is that cool?
Sure.
All right, give it a little curveball here. So tell us about you and your fishing experience. I know you're a hell of an angler.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I consider myself a casual fisherman. I've been doing it a long time. You know, I do it for fun. You know, I've never gotten into too many tournaments and things like that, but I just enjoy doing it. Doesn't matter if I'm on the beach, on the boat, on the bank. Just love being out there, and I don't even have to be catching fish. You know, it's just being out there, being in the water, being by the water on this beautiful planet God has given us. And you know, fish or no fish, it's great being outdoors.
Absolutely. Something about that, man. I think we've talked about it in other episodes, and I know you and I have talked about it. It's just something about being on the beach, lying in the water. Life is good.
That's it, man. No doubt.
So where'd you start fishing? Was it in that area? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Gainesville, and so I grew up fishing the west coast of Florida, Cedar Key, Steinhatchee, Horseshoe, the Big Bend there, trouts and redfish, and you know, occasionally we'll travel over to the East Coast and fish the beaches while we're on vacation. I really didn't get into you know, fishing on a weekly basis until I came over here to Fishbites. And now we're doing it every day pretty much. I'm fortunate enough to live on a little saltwater canal there, and we pretty much do it every day. And learning more and more, you know, surf fishing, for instance, I didn't do a whole lot of. I mean, I'd go out with an 8-foot Walmart rod and we catch some fish. And what until I started working here at Fishbites, which was about 5 years ago, that I realized how much went into surf fishing. I mean, it completely blew my mind. And I enjoy it. I mean, I do more of that than anything else at this point. And, you know, it's been a great learning experience.
I can only imagine. I mean, nice fringe benefit of the job there, being able to go fishing every day. It's not much, but that's one of those few things you're like, this is good. I can live with this.
Yeah. No, I've known the Carr family my whole life. Dr. Carr's grandson and I grew up together. Dr. Carr's son, my dad, went to high school together. So even as little kids, we'd be up here visiting Dr. Carr in St. Augustine. We'd be 14, 15 years old. He'd let us take the boat on our own and run up and down the Matanzas trying to chase fish around. And it's been awesome to be involved with this family as much as I have been. And I'm just blessed to finally get a job over here. I had my own business over in Gainesville, pest control company, and I was doing really well, making a lot of money. And they had a position for me, asked me to come, and I dropped what I was doing and headed over to St. Augustine. And it's been quite the learning curve that inshore fishing over here compared to the west coast of Florida and the Big Bend there. I mean, it's a completely different fishery, and I'm still figuring it out. But it's been a lot.
Nice. All right. Well, let's talk about that too. And your audio's getting a little funky. I'm hearing a little digital, so it might be the cell signal. I don't know if your signal's bad in there. So you're saying it's really different. Can you give me a little bit more about why? What do you think the main differences you've noticed are?
Well, I mean, when I was fishing over in the Steinhatchee area, and like I said before, I'm a casual fisherman. I don't claim to be any kind of expert, but you could just float around out there with a popping cork, catch redfish and trout all day, and you had crystal clear water. You'd see the oyster bars, know where you're going, no problem. And you get over here, it's dirty water, dark water, and you kind of really have to know where you're at. You got to find these little holes over here, as over there in the Gulf Coast, or at least the area I was fishing. I mean, they were everywhere. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. Wow. And here it's a lot different. And like I said, I've been here 5 years now, and I don't know if I know a whole lot more than I did five years ago. I'm still learning, but it's great. I really enjoy being over here and being with the company.
That's awesome, man. So when you've learned the stuff that you've learned on the East Coast, have you ever brought it back to the Big Bend and tried any of those new tricks?
Not really. I mean, whenever I do get a chance to get back over to the Big Bend, it's I go right back to my old tricks. And, still work.
Hey, the old ones always do, right? That's good stuff.
That's it.
All right, so let's talk about the company. What makes Fishbites so different than all the other companies out there with the baits?
Well, with our scent technology is 100% synthetic. We don't take any biological material from shrimp or crab or anything. Dr. Carr figured this out. He, you mentioned the cut foot story in the intro there. And when he was a kid, he cut his foot on an oyster bar while he and his dad were out getting oysters. And he noticed all these little creatures coming up to his foot and wanting to eat whatever's coming out of his foot. And he spent his life starting in the 70s figuring out what these fish are smelling. And he put them into a synthetic formula. He figured out what these chemicals are and what these stimulants are that fish use to detect and track their prey. And what he realized was that, contrary to popular belief, there's little in common between what humans smell in the air and what fish smell in the water. Odors that persist in the air don't necessarily dissolve in water. And he focused on replicating these natural feeding stimulants in the lab and creating a more refined and potent forms of the scent technology.
That's smart. I when I was reading the whole stuff about him, that whole travel, just all of it, you really could see he put his heart and soul into it. I mean, he went to school for it. He continued on with it. It was just it wasn't a hobby. It was a passion for him.
Absolutely, and it wasn't just with fishing. I mean, he was one of those guys where you say they don't make them like that anymore. I mean, anything he did, he put his heart and soul into, and that started when he was playing baseball at the University of Alabama, winning their first SEC championship in 1995. He was recruited by the Cleveland Indians until he got hurt, and then he started off on his scientific endeavor. Went to Stetson, then to Duke for his PhD, and then finally to the University of Florida.
See, that is a true statement, though. They don't make them like that because nowadays it's really small and few and far between that we find people like that nowadays. But it's amazing how that kind of legacy can be left, because when you've got that drive for something and you can build something, it's going to last, and it's going to last forever. So I'm impressed, and I definitely feel small. So I know it's a trade secret, and I'm not going to ask anything about it.
Okay.
But the biggest piece with the environmental impact, you'd mentioned that nothing is taken from the ocean; it's all synthetic. But you still maintain that the entire the whole bait thing is biodegradable. Do you think that was Dr. Carr's plan the entire time?
Yeah, in a sense it was. I mean, and for a couple different reasons. He didn't want to take anything from the ocean. He likes to leave things, how he found it. And the other side of that is he wanted to leave that bait out there. You leave bait out there, let the fish feed on it, and fatten up. You come along with something synthetic like he's made, and if it smells enough like it, what they're naturally eating, they're going to eat that. So, yeah, that was the idea from the start.
Oh, definitely good stuff right there. I mean, it's only one over. It's kind of an important resource for us, so that's great that you guys could do that. So, Why do you think scent is so important?
I mean, that's what fish use to detect their prey. I mean, fish don't see well. They don't have a great sight. I mean, most biologists would tell you a fish's depth perception isn't great, and they kind of have a semi-blind spot straight ahead of them. They can see when they get up close on it, but the only way for them to really detect prey from any kind of distance is off a scent or vibration, which makes some of these hard plastics really popular. Once they get up on it, they can see what they're eating, and but the scent is what drives them to eat. And that's the beauty of Fishbites, is we've taken the similar chemical composition of what a shrimp is made of, or a crab, or a sand flea, and put it in this synthetic formula, but at a much more potent level. So there's, always the argument, can this bait outfish live bait? And in a sense, it can, because you're catching more fish on one piece of bait. And the scent a piece of our shrimp bait is giving off is 10 times the amount a real shrimp is giving off. But yeah, for the most part, just don't see well. They feed on their scent, and that's why Fishbites has been such a big success.
Oh man, it's funny you mentioned the sight thing, because I know that it's been brought up many times in different YouTube channels. It's been talked about by, I think, every angler that I know. We've all spoke about sight, but I'm sitting here and I'm looking out of one of my windows, and I can see, 300 yards, no problem. But there's no way a fish is going to have that visibility. That fish is going to be looking somewhere within, the 5 to 10 foot, if that.
Right. Yeah, that's what it is. We can really, if we don't have any obstruction, can see miles ahead. Where a fish, it's maybe a few hundred feet, and then you add in water clarity, and it completely changes it up. So it's almost like they're constantly looking through fog, and they need that scent to find their prey.
Yeah, I found on the East Coast there fishing one of the tournaments. It was Roy's tournament last year. Couldn't get any pompano, but man, I could get whiting, and I was happy about that. But it was so murky out. Paul had mentioned, he's like, man, their only way they're going to find the bait is if they smell it and run into it today. And it was just like, all right, cast it and launch it. We had Fishbites on top and bottom hooks. We were like, all right, change the scent up profiles, and just in trying to make something happen. Granted, we still hit and we still did okay. But the scent piece being the main one. If they can't see it, they got to smell it, and they got to come for it.
Absolutely. And I hear these guys all the time, over on you guys' coast, you got clear water a lot of the time. Yeah. We don't get clear water like that, but they're adamant about it. They're not fishing if the water's dirty. And I think it's really a plus for Fishbites. I mean, a fish, if he's going to see a sand flea, see it and smell it, he's going to eat it. In Fishbites' case, if you got that potent of a scent out there, he doesn't need to see it. He's going to find it and bite it anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I found most of the times that I've catch redfish here is on kind of a dirtier water day. Heavier wave action, more foam. So I know the ground is getting beat up a bit. But, yeah, I mean, my first red was on a sand flea fish bite alone. And that was my first red here in Navarre. I was like, it's so easy. Why does everybody make it look so hard? I just caught this slot red. What are we doing?
I tell you, it's been crazy seeing, and I didn't know what kind of fishery you guys had over there until I started working here at Fishbites, and I've had the opportunity to see you guys over there from Panama City to Alabama, and some of those fish you get over, there's big black drum and there's big redfish. And they just eat a tiny little piece of that Fishbites, and they'll go for it. I mean, I've been amazed by that myself, and knowing the company as long as I have, I've even come to be surprised by some of those catches over there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when when I first started, I was cutting bigger chunks, and I was using the strips, and then fishing with Justin and a couple other people like, dude, cut it down a little. I'm like, why? It's not going to help me. Like, oh, just do it. So cut it down to thumbnail size, and 34, 36-inch black drum, 29, 30-inch red. You're like, you got to be kidding me! This little piece of bait, like they smell it, they want it, they're gonna hit it. So
that's it. Yeah, like my good buddy Caleb Couture will say, he says, elephants eat peanuts. And those big red.
That man can fish.
He can.
That guy, man. I've never had a chance to actually speak with him. And I only know him through reputation. But one thing I've always known about his rep is that man can fish. If you got questions, ask Caleb. He can tell.
Yeah, he's been doing it, forever, and he goes back 3 generations fishing that area he's in. He's kind of taken a step back from some of the public life and that side of the industry, but I know he's still getting after it.
That's good, man. Definitely a guy that you I like his knowledge. Eventually, I will track him down and be like, all right, we need to talk. Just humor me. Somebody's going to want your knowledge.
Yeah, I can help you set that up.
Woohoo! I'm loving things working through podcasts. So with talking about the bait, actually let's play a little bit with that one. So Fishbites has two different formulas. They've got the quick release and the standard. Quick release being the red bag.
Right.
What being? I mean, I know the difference here, but what being the main difference that you see, and why did Fishbites decide to make a quick release and a standard?
For the fast acting, we wanted to design something that would break down a little bit faster in the colder waters, like in the Northeast. We got that request, and it was something we could do. And this one, our long-lasting formula has the mesh in the middle of it.
Right.
That mesh, all the material on that mesh is biodegradable. That mesh itself is not. But now in the fast acting baits, that entire piece is 100% biodegradable. And we do reinforce it with some of these fibers and keep it pretty tough. It's obviously not as tough as the stuff with the mesh in it. But yeah, it was something the guys in the Northeast wanted, and something we decided to make. And we don't sell near as much of that as we do the long lasting stuff. And my personal feeling on it is, I don't know that the scent gets out. I've tried using it, and I catch just as many fish here on the long last as I do the fast acting, and I'm catching multiple fish on one piece of bait rather than 2 or 3 on that fast acting. So I personally believe that scent is still getting out there just as fast. But if that customer wants it, we'll try to give it to them.
Yeah, I've used the fast acting here in the winter when the fishery really dies down, because I want to get a concentrated blast, and then normally I'll put it probably on the my bottom drop, and then on my top drop I've got a standard piece. Kind of just try to all right, I'm going to explode it and hopefully bring it in this way. But that makes sense. That I understand that now with the colder water, because it slows it down a little.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Well, I guess I already answered that one. Well, the advantages and the use recommended. I mean, colder water is kind of the idea behind the fast release, but you can still use it in the summer. I mean, you can use it in the warm water. It's just going to go fast.
Right, and I know what a lot of the guys in Florida. I mean, if you're surf fishing in Florida, get the long lasting. I mean, it's not going to make much of a difference for you other than just having to rebait with the fast acting. Now, some applications you can use with that fast acting in Florida is if you're fishing kind of soft plastic and you want to add a little bit of scent to it. If you're fishing, I've put little pieces on my top water treble hooks just to add a little scent. That fish is chasing that top water down, and a lot of times they'll hit it, but they're not tasting anything, and unless you're putting some Procure on it or something like that. But if you got that little piece of that fast acting on there, they hit that plastic, and they not only see and feel something, but they're tasting something as well. And you can do that with any of these hard plastics or soft plastics. It was funny. Saltwater Assassins posted this big black drum the other day on one of their soft plastics, and you can see in the picture a little piece of Fishbites on that hook, and that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart though. I mean, I've heard of Procure, and I mean, I've thrown Fishbites on my goofy jig. I normally always throw it on the bottom of it, because all right, I'm gonna get something going there. But I never thought to throw it on with my top water for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, you want to put a tiny little piece, because you don't want to affect the action of it so much. You don't want to put too much weight on it, but that's where that fast acting comes in. It's a lighter piece of bait, and it'll dissolve as you're working the bait. And it's just another tool to have in your bag there.
Yeah, it's a great tool to have. I mean, and just a sliver, like you said, not a chunker, probably just a nice little sliver.
You just want them just to give them a little taste when they hit that thing, because I can't tell you how many times I've had them hit and then can't get them to come back, and that may just be the way I'm working it. But I feel like it gives me a slight advantage if they actually taste something when they're hitting those plastic lures.
Yeah, well, and it's so let's talk about plastics for a second. I know it's not on here except for further on, but let's talk about it anyway. You've got the Dirty Boxers, the Fight Club series, all those great series with your old soft plastics. Those are also infused with concentrated scent, right?
Yeah, they are completely impregnated with our scent technology. And these baits are also 100% biodegradable, other than the glitter that we put in it. And nobody else is doing that. I mean, there's no PVCs, rubber, or plastic in these baits, and we are the only company doing that. There are other companies out there that can claim their baits are biodegradable, and you can do that. I can't remember what the number is, but if your bait is, say, 60% biodegradable, you can claim that. Ours are 100%, again, for the exception of the glitter. And that does two things. It's one, it's good for the environment. You're not leaving any plastics or microplastics in the water if you lose a lure. But as far as catching fish goes, we're able to completely impregnate that bait. And when you're moving that bait through the water is able to move through the bait, being that it's not coated in a plastic or water or rubber. So the water you're fishing is moving through the bait, and it's pulling that scent out as you work that lure. And that's really what separates us from anybody else. You don't have to soak these baits. You don't have to, rehydrate them in scent or anything like that. It's there, and it's always there.
Dang, I didn't know they were fully biodegradable. I
Yeah.
never even thought about it. The whole thing,
Yep,
except the
100%.
glitter? That's impressive.
Everything but the glitter, yeah. And it was a difficult process, and that was, something very important to the company and Dr. Carr. And, we had to hire a couple different chemists to come in here and figure out how to do this. And then just shooting it, shooting it into the molds is really difficult. We've got to have a completely climate controlled room. It's got to be at an exact temperature to where it'll fill the mold and fill the bait to a full piece. And we're finally think we've got it dialed in to where we're really pumping these things out. When we first started making these Fight Club baits, we were shooting them 6 baits at a time. They would roll down this conveyor belt, and it'd take about 8 minutes to get down this conveyor belt and to flash freeze. And when they came out, they'd have all this flashing, which is just excess material. And the girls in the packing room would have to sit there and hand trim every one of these baits. And when you look at our shrimp bodies with those 6 little legs on them, you can imagine it's pretty time consuming.
Yeah.
But we got some guys in the industry to make us some specific machinery, and now we're shooting 60 baits at once, 4 minutes, no flashing, and they come out looking perfect and pristine.
Nice. That's streamlining right there, and that's not a loss of time, money, or bottlenecks.
That's it, man.
So with the plastic series, it's shown good promise. How would you recommend using it in the surf?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, I'm sorry. With the plastics being, I mean, we know they work. We've seen them work. I've used them.
Sure.
How do you recommend that they get used, say, from a surf angler position, throwing from the surf out?
In your area, I wouldn't. On the East Coast, I'm maybe throwing them a couple times a year. I mean, it's just too rough over here for us to really get a whole lot of action. In your area, you can get away with it. First thing in the morning, if you know you've got some reds running or some blues running, if you put that bait in front of them, they're going to eat it. Now, one application over there that I've used it for on your neck of the woods is the flounder. You guys get some steep drop-offs on the beach there as the water comes in, and those flounder get holed up right on those edges. And you throw that bait out and work it in. As soon as you get on that edge and the flounder are there, he's going to hit it. And of all the fish I've caught on these baits, it seems like the flounder want them more than anything else, especially those curly tails. They really seem to dial in on those. But yeah, that's the idea. I mean, you got to get the right time of year for it, know where the fish are going to be, and I like to do it first thing in the morning when it's pretty calm out, and sometimes you can sight fish them over there as well.
Oh man, sight fishing. I've seen that one on YouTube. Like, oh yeah, you see it right there. I'm like, I don't see anything what you're talking about.
Oh my
now.
gosh, I'm the same way, man. I was fishing over your area with Nick Thompson. He's a Twitch guy, and we're on the kayaks, and he's like, there they are there, and I'm like, where? I mean, I'm a little bit colorblind, so I'm using that as my excuse that some of these greens and browns kind of blend together. But yeah, it's amazing. These guys that have been doing it a long time, how they can spot them from nowhere, and these fish will be swimming right under my boat, and I can't see them.
Yeah, but Blake has told me quite a few times. Blake Hunter with 30A, he's always like, hey, dude,
Yeah.
It's easy to do. I'm like, I need to just go out with you and see it because I really cannot see any of that at all.
Well, he'll do it. What's funny with Blake is he'll do it for pompano. You know,
Yep.
I mean, these fish will be 60 yards off the beach and he's pointing them out. And I'm like, I can't do that with a redfish 2 feet away from me.
I totally get
Yeah.
that. If you guys didn't hear it in the background there, that was the alarm. It's been 25 minutes. That means it's bait check time. So go ahead, put this on pause, go reel that in, go check your bait, make sure it's good to go, and then get it back out there 'cause you should be catching fish. And if you haven't yet, you need to change your bait. Something different because it's not working. So. It's one of the ones that, I mean, that's one of my favorite things I've learned this year has been, if you're going to keep doing insanity, throwing the same bait and nothing's biting, why wouldn't you change your bait profile? Change it to something else. I mean,
Absolutely.
change the flavor,
Or
change the scent.
move down the beach.
Yep.
I mean, it's those things. Yeah.
Yeah, that was something. I'm always fishing with Justin Reed. It seems like we always, that's what, just our fishing buddies. That's just how we roll together. We had actually talked about it this year. I think what we're going to start doing is start leapfrogging. So we're just going to start, hey, it didn't work here. All right, that rod's nothing. Move it down. And we're just going to basically hop each other and walk our way down. And we're fortunate for that here where we have the national seashore, so we don't have apartment, we don't have the condos. The only thing you got to deal with is walking.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And it's a little cheater. We're pretty good at that. So with the plastic series, have any of them seemed to be better than the other, or is it just kind of dealer's choice lately?
I would say dealer's choice. We get the most love on the curly tails, and like I said, that goes for flounder especially. If you're targeting flounder, get the curly tails hands down. But for redfish, trout, I don't know that it matters a lot. I mean, I personally like the curly tail, but I was out fishing the other day and I was throwing my white curly tail, not getting a bite. And I just put on a bait, one of our baits I don't use a whole lot of, which is the jerk bait. It's called the brawler. And the first 2 casts, 2 fish right away. So I'm gonna start using that one a little bit more. But yeah, it's like you said, changing up profiles. You want to, you've heard the term match the hatch, I'm sure 100 times, but yeah, you want to match the same similar profile what those fish are feeding on. And I guess the jerk bait was the day for that for me.
Ah, smart, man. You changed it up and you got dinner, so that's a win.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the strips here and let's concentrate there. So what are your thoughts on the strips in regards to coloring? Is kind of a lesser of a factor than scent, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm personally in the camp that the color doesn't make a whole lot of difference. They're coming to bite the fish bites for what it smells like, not necessarily what it looks like. Now, Caleb, bring him up again. He has told me that pompano specifically see in kind of a fluorescent lighting. So you want those brighter colors when you're targeting pompano. But, it seems to be different in every region. Like in you guys' area, last year it was green shrimp. That's what everybody wanted. Port St. Lucie last year, yellow crab. That's what everybody wanted. This year it's electric chicken crab. So I don't know. I think what happens is a couple guys will catch one on one certain color, and then the word gets out, and that's just kind of a word of mouth thing. And I could be wrong about that. It may make a huge difference. I'm just saying it made a huge difference for me. I'll just grab whatever I've got in the bag when I go fish, and as long as I've got the right scent, I'm usually getting into them.
Yeah, I'll admit with the electric chicken, I wasn't a big follower of it until I got some, and all of a sudden I started catching them. Like, you got to be kidding me, man. Really?
Yeah, you see it makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I don't go out there. What I generally will do if I'm setting up 3 rods, I'll put my clam and sand flea on my top hooks and mix match the colors on the clam, and then on my bottom hooks mix match the colors on the shrimp and crab. And I go with what works that day. But for now that I've been doing it a little bit more, I haven't really dialed in on one particular color, at least where I'm fishing.
Yeah, for me, it's more flavor profile. I mean, the color is fine. I do try to play with it a little bit, especially depending on what rig I'm using. If I'm using one of Salties or Prisky, I might try to all right, it's green, I'm going to go with a green shrimp, or hey, it's red, all right, let's go with a red crab. Sometimes it's worked for me. Other times it's kind of like, it didn't make a difference, but it's still something to add into the arsenal of attempting. Sure. But it was always it's the flavor profile that I'm like, all right, I need shrimp, I need clam, I need crab. I haven't had a lot of luck with squid, but I think that's just because the time I did use it, I was catching rays because the rays were just running crazy. So I was like, you know what?
I don't ever use the squid in the surf, to be honest. That's just me personally. I know some guys that will fish with regular cut squid surf fishing. It's just not something I've gotten into because the guys that know more about it than me have told me to use this or use that, and it's generally not squid. Now that squid is a great bait for those trigger fish you guys have over there. I can't tell you how many pictures I've been getting in of the trigger fish caught on our squid scent there. So we're trying to open up into that market a little bit more in the offshore market. You mentioned not knowing much about the electric chicken crab. It's a product we've had for years, and squid is too, but not a lot of people know about it. So we're trying to get the word out on that this year.
It's funny you mentioned that. I don't know why I didn't even think, what if I'm going to go out on like a party boat or on a deep sea? I mean, because you're using squid. You're using a ton of it when you're out there. And just throw a piece of Fishbites on. I don't have to rebait. You good luck getting that off, dude. You're going to have to chew through this. Come on.
Absolutely.
All right. Mental note.
That's a lot of the offshore guys, they'll take their sardines or their squid out there and kind of get the fish drummed up a little bit, and then once you get them eaten, then you can just drop that Fishbites down and grab them one after the other.
That makes sense. So, hey, everybody, there you go. Next time you're going out, a little bit of that won't hurt. Not even a little.
Nope. And you can always do what a lot of people do when they first start using this product is they're using it in conjunction with something else. Somebody's using a live sand flea, they'll put a little piece of our sand flea, it'll anchor the sand flea on, and it gives you a little bit more confidence having them both out there. But you can do the same thing in the offshore. If you got a piece of cut squid, throw some of our squid on there. That way, if you do get a bite and he pulls that fresh squid off, you're never fishing on credit if you got Fishbites.
Nothing worse than fishing on credit. Ugh. Breaks the soul, man.
Yeah, it does.
So you've got Fishbites has the pre-cut individual cuts, and then you've got the full-blown strips.
Right.
How do you recommend the cutting?
I cut mine. I get the easy baits. I feel like the pre-cut strips are sometimes a little bit bigger than what I want to use for surf fishing. And I'll take the easy baits and I'll cut them angle to angle and make little diamond patterns out of them.
Okay.
And again, that's what I've been told by guys that know about it more than me. Caleb Couture, Paul Spurko, this is how they kind of do it. Caleb will cut them in that diamond and then kind of cut it up the middle and have these little legs hanging off of it. Again, I don't know how much of a difference it makes. I think they're coming after the scent, but you do know that there's nothing out there in the ocean that is a perfect square or a perfect rectangle. So you want to try to mimic something of a silhouette that's natural to the marine life, like a coquina clam or something like that these fish are actually eating. Because that's how they see. They're not seeing the full profile. They're just seeing a kind of a silhouette when they're going up there. So if you get it somewhere close, I imagine it'll help you catch some fish. Dude,
that's a great little piece of advice right there.
Mm-hmm.
Change it. I've heard of the tail one on the pre-cuts. I've heard on the small end, just give it a little cut right down the middle, give it the little flipper legs, let the water move it around.
Yeah, it can't hurt. Yeah.
No, hell, if it catches fish, run with it.
Right, absolutely.
So has there been you kind of answered this before, but I'll ask, has there been a flavor or scent that seems to be the magic combo in the last, that you've heard of?
Well, across the board, across Florida, sand flea is kind of the go-to for pompano fishing. But other than that, it's more dependent on the area. Like I said, I rarely use shrimp to target pompano over here. And last year, guys like Arrington and Blaine, they were all over that green shrimp. That's all they wanted. And I don't know why that is. I guess it's what they're feeding on in that particular area. But I know guys up in North Carolina are using the bloodworm to catch pompano. You're not catching them. And these are the same pompano that are coming down to Florida. And they're not eating the bloodworm here. But up in North Carolina, they're catching them on that. But sand flea is kind of the standard. And then it's kind of dependent on the area.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense there. So what are your thoughts on Fishbites in the freshwater applications?
Well, we do have a catfish line of baits. It's called the Yamon, and it comes in a crawfish scent, liver scent, and a shad scent. And it's for some freshwater catfish, but guys use it for catching panfish, specks, things like that. But our bloodworm's another one that a lot of guys use for the panfish. Now, these Fight Club lures have really surprised me and how well they've been doing on largemouth bass. I mean, we had a guy send us in a picture the other day, 11.78 pound bass
Ooh.
on one of our paddle tails. Yeah, big fat boy. And now the problem we have getting into the freshwater market with our lures is they're expensive. I mean, you can buy 100 plastic worms for $3, you know, where ours, we can't make it that cheap. I mean, our cost on that is not even that. So it would be hard to compete in that market. I mean, the bass, there's guys that know how to bass fish. I mean, they can pretty much catch them on anything. But I do know the guys that have tried it have had success on it.
Yeah,
and we've actually redesigned our bags. Instead of, you know, our bags used to say saltwater on our Fight Club bags. We've taken that off. We had toyed around with the idea of putting an all water bait on there, but we just took saltwater off. We don't want to confuse anybody, but it does work in both bodies of water.
Nice. Well, I can imagine that bass. That's a big bass.
Yeah. I'll send that picture to you.
Oh, please do. Oh, absolutely, please do. So, you and I have talked offline, you know, the couple times we've seen each other, about soak time. When you know, you're using your cuts and all that stuff. What do you recommend for soak to replacement time?
Well, I will tell you this: that is, as long as you've got some meat on that bone, as long as you're not just fishing with mesh, you have scent with fish bites.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. It was just last week. And I told you I live on a little saltwater canal back there, and I'll go home and we'll toss a piece of fish bites out there. We'll generally catch little rat reds, but I'll use the same piece for days in a row. And last week, or maybe it was the week before, we threw it out there, and that bait I'd probably used 3 days in a row for a couple hours. It was sitting out there, it's just sitting on the bottom, and big 26-inch redfish comes through and smacks it. But at the same time, on the surf, I'll leave my fish bites. I'm kind of lazy. I'll leave my fish bites on the hook, and then they'll sit in the garage for a week. I'll go back out the next week, throw it out, and I've caught fish there too. So the scent, you know, being 100% synthetic, it's always there. So if you have meat, you are going to catch. You can still catch fish with fish bites. The scent is still there. But I've had fish baits for an hour, still caught fish. Now, I know a lot of guys, they'll leave it out there 15, 20 minutes, and they think they need to cut it off because the scent's gone, even though they still have bait on their hook. And I get it. I mean, so much about fishing is being confident in what you're using. But personally, like I'm going to go fish the sand spike shootout this week. I'll probably leave them on there 30 minutes. If I don't get something, I'm either changing a bait or changing a scent. That's generally, if I'm cutting off a good piece of fish bites, it's because I'm changing scents. And that's where I'm at with that.
Right. It's not like you're popping pink shrimp off and then putting pink shrimp back on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's you know, we say if you look on our website, they say 30 or 45 minutes, but I've talked to all the bosses here, and there's not a good answer for that. We really don't know, but I do know that I've had 3-day-old bait that's caught fish. You know, so it's there. Scent is there.
Yeah, you're definitely not the only one. My buddy Jeremiah has proved it to me on numerous occasions. The man can definitely fish. He'll bring out, you know, I'll see his line's already done. Like, is that from the last time? Yeah. Throws it out, still catches. I'm like, man.
I love it.
You know. So he's good. Yeah, he shows me up all the time. The dude's a hell of an angler. So what do you think is the best method to remove the fish bite from your hook?
I keep a pair of boomerang snips on me and just cut them off. I know some guys will keep a pair of fingernail clippers around their neck and cut it off. As I mentioned before, that mesh is not biodegradable, so I'll keep a little pill bottle in my pocket, and when I cut it off, dispose of it that way and throw it away when I get home so it's not out there in the water. But yeah, you just gotta, it is kind of a pain in the butt, but it also allows you to catch 6-7 fish on one piece of bait. So it's worth it in my mind. But yeah, just cut them off with a small pair of scissors. That's about all you can do.
Yeah, I keep mine in my Batman bag next to me. So
there you go.
Just get them off. And I know you guys, you've had this question a bunch. You get it at every seminar, every booth, every time you've had a table set up. And I've asked you about it because I was like, I got to ask because somebody's going to ask it. Is the brown bag a death sentence?
It is not a death sentence. As we mentioned before, the scent technology is 100% synthetic. So even if it has turned colors on you, the scent is still there. And also, as we mentioned before, I'm not a big color guy. I mean, if the scent is there, the fish will find it and eat it. So yeah, don't throw it away. What they can get so bad and brittle where when you try to put a hook through it, it just falls apart. So kind of the rule of thumb is if you can get a hook through it, you can still catch fish.
I mean, I'm not saying that I've had brittle, but I've definitely left a couple bags open in my ammo can. Like, oh, this is hard.
Yeah, and what you really want to do as a biodegradable bait, the worst thing you can do is leave this stuff sitting in a hot garage or the trunk of your car. That's where it really starts to break down, is when it's exposed to excessive heat. After we make this stuff here at the warehouse, we leave it refrigerated. Most of our big distributors, we've purchased refrigerated coolers for. They stay refrigerated at the distributor level. And a lot of stores are now starting to keep it cold. But as long as you maintain or keep it out of the heat, you should be all right.
Yep. Learned that lesson the hard way, but it's still fished, and I still
caught. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people ask if we can put expiration dates on it, and it's too hard for us to say because so much is dependent on how it's stored after it leaves here. If it sits on a UPS truck in the middle of summer for 2 days over the weekend, it's going to break down a lot faster when it's sitting on those Walmart shelves. But with that said, most of our distributors have a defective allowance. So if a store's product does turn on them, they have the option to return that to the distributor. We encourage them all to do that. We're paying for it. Take advantage of it when it happens. But yeah, we don't want to see that stuff on the shelves, but if it's sitting in your bag and you can get a hook through it, don't throw it away. And then worst case, if it's so brittle you can't get it on the hook, just, crunch it up, throw it out there in the surf and chum them up a little bit.
There you go. I don't know if this is a trade secret, so I mean, and it's not on the paper, but you brought up a point that made me want to ask it.
Okay.
When they send you back these baits that are no longer usable, are you able to break it down and reuse it, or is it basically just become...
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, nah. I mean, we probably could, but we don't get that much of it back to really have to deal with. So
right.
we'll fish it, or we'll give it to some of the guys in production or whoever wants it. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of distribution, we talked about it not so long ago. You guys are moving into Amazon, is that correct?
We are. We have just got our Amazon portal set up, and it's not something we wanted to do. It's going to take away from our online sales. And first and foremost, before you buy from Amazon, before you buy from us, we want you going there and supporting your local tackle shops. It is convenient at times, but if anybody listening can get out there and support these local shops, that's the most important thing for this industry, is keeping these guys afloat. And so the problem we had was there were 16 dealers on Amazon selling our products, and we were dealing with the fallout when these guys weren't taking care of our products. A customer would order baits from some random Amazon Fishbite store, and they look like crap. We get the phone call, we've got to replace the baits. So we had to nip it in the bud, and we've got our own portal now. It's set up through the Fishbites trading post if anybody's out there looking for it. And it's got everything on there, and we're still working through some kinks. I mean, it's been amazing how many hoops we've had to jump through to sell our own product on Amazon. There's a lot of the stores on there are saying this product is made in China, and we couldn't be prouder of the fact that we make everything right here in the United States of America, St. Augustine, Florida. And it's depressing seeing people advertising this as a China-made product. And so it's been a headache, and our marketing manager, Mike Carr, Dr. Carr's son, has been pulling his hair out for the last probably 3 months trying to make this thing happen. But we are up and rolling live now. So if it's your last option and you can't go anywhere else, you can't support your local stores, they don't have exactly what you want, you can now go to Amazon. Just be sure when you're ordering from the portal, make sure it's the Fishbites trading post to get the freshest baits. This is coming straight from our factory. That's not sitting in an Amazon warehouse. It's coming right as you would if you were ordering it direct from us on our website.
Nice. Oh man, I can't believe you guys had to. I mean, I get it, but speaking of that, if you all haven't been to Fishbites headquarters yet in St. Augustine, it's worth the trip. I went for the Burford tournament and the benefit, and I hadn't even been, and then I showed up, I'm like, this place is huge. You guys have done a lot with those buildings.
We really have. We had our when we bought the property, and this is kind of a funny story. when the bosses went there to get this property. This is actually Fishbites' third location over the 22 years we've been around.
Oh.
And they went up to Jacksonville and went to the banker's office, and they sat down and they had to sign their first $1 million check or loan, $1 million loan. And they all were really freaked out about it. I mean, that's a lot of money to owe somebody. But it's been great, man. I mean, we've had plenty of space to get this production out. We put another 6,000 square foot facility for the fight club that we're running everything out of now. And then we've got the tackle shop, which is where we used to make the fight club stuff, and we remodeled it. And you've been at it. I mean, it's one of the nicest tackle shops you'll ever be in. And we're continuing to grow, man. We're not going to slow down, and we're happy with what we're doing, and we don't think anybody else can do it like we're doing it. And we're going to keep going full steam ahead.
Absolutely, man. Keep pushing it. Yeah, you're right. It is a nice tackle shop.
Yeah.
Really
I'll tell you, part of that is we don't sell any live bait. We don't have shrimp water sloshing around anywhere, and that's something we did, for. You can imagine some of the local tackle shops here weren't exactly thrilled with us opening up a shop, and we couldn't be more grateful for their support over the years. So we want to leave some stuff for them. We got a few of them around us that sell live bait, and kayaks. It's another one. David at St. Augustine Paddle Sports does a lot of kayaks. We're going to leave that for them. And but yeah, it's a beautiful shop. We brought in a lot of different products, bull bay rods, Florida fishing products. A lot of things people weren't really aware of in our area. And now pretty much since we started selling them, you go into any store, West Marine, I was in there yesterday, they've got bull bay in there, and several of the shops in Jacksonville are now carrying them. So we try to have some different things. We've got the Daiwa and the stuff of, but we try to get about a lot of local products, Florida-based companies into the store, and it's been going well.
Yeah, I've heard about you guys having a lot with the local market. I know Brian Curlett, he was doing his sand spikes. There's a couple other manufacturers, and Chip was there with his sinkers. It's always, I don't know, I've always find it refreshing when you got a local shop that's supporting a local small business too together. I mean, it's accomplishing the same means here. We all want everyone to catch fish.
That's it, man. And there's plenty of fish out there for everybody to make some money. So if they're doing it right, we want to have them in there.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into the last two of the fun ones here, and I'll let you get back to your work day.
All right.
So what do you attribute the rush to surf fishing?
This is a great question. I mean, I've been completely amazed of watching it kind of blow up these last 5 years, really since I've been in the industry. And, the quick answer is I think it's something everybody can do. I mean, most people can get out there, walk the beach, and throw a rod. And it's, it's not too expensive. You don't have to you buy a boat. You don't have to clean a boat. All you got to do is roll your cart back up, rinse it off, and you're done. And, it's something about beach fishing. And like I kind of mentioned before, is worst case scenario, you're sitting on a beach, I mean, how could life get any better, whether you're catching fish or not? But it's, here's another Caleb Couture quote for you, and I hope it's don't get you in trouble, but ass in the sand, beer in your hand. That's what surf fishing's about, and everybody can do it there. And you never know what you're going to get. When you're out on the boats or the kayaks, you're kind of limited to species. On the beach, there's no telling what's going to come through. And again, it's just something everybody can do.
Dude, that's good stuff right there. Because it is, I mean, you can. If you want to, you can get out in the water and just throw it. Yeah. And you can go with your wife and your kids or, husband, whatever it is. You can go out there with a family and still fish and not hook somebody. So
yeah, that's a great point. Is the family atmosphere. I got 3 at the house, and one of them likes to fish, the rest of them don't. My girlfriend doesn't like to fish, but they love being on the beach, and it's something we can always all go to do together. So a couple of them may be throwing the football, I'll be fishing, she's drinking a margarita. It's all good.
Never a bad day with a margarita. No.
Yeah.
So let's do with the final last one here. What do you recommend a new angler does before they even start surf fishing?
I mean, YouTube is your friend. You got the sinker guy, Spencer Brogdon, Broken Reel. I mean, they Those two guys are so generous with their knowledge, and you yourself listen to the Finding Demo podcast. I mean, there's so much great information out there, and that's what I really love about the surf fishing community. Everybody, for the most part, is so helpful. We're not, for the most part, blurring out our pictures so you can't see where we're at. And, you're not going to put somebody in your favorite spot, but you can give them a general idea of what to do and go catch some fish. I mean, there's generally always some whiting out there to be had. So yeah, that's where I would start, is just get on YouTube and start looking around and learning. That's it.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Well, I seriously appreciate all the time that you've given me today. I really do. And thank you.
Anytime.
Thanks to the company, too, for letting me really kind of dig in a little bit more. I know there's a lot of information in print and on YouTube about Fishbites, but there was some stuff that I was like, there's got to be more. And I'm really glad that you were able to open up my eyes on a lot of that, and hopefully it helps somebody today.
No, and Brian, we appreciate what you're doing, man. I mean, I've been fortunate enough. I think I kind of started hearing about. How long have you been fishing? Fishing?
What am I, a year and a half now? Almost 2 years?
Yeah. I thought it was, but I didn't think it had been that long. But, man, you've been such a huge help to the community and getting the knowledge out there. You've kind of taken it by the reins and put it all in one spot for people to learn. And it's been a pleasure watching you grow as a surf fisherman and watching you grow on your podcast here.
Thanks, brother. Man. I appreciate it, man. And hey, thanks for the good stuff. You got me that pompano the other day. I know you saw that.
All right, yeah. Oh. Yeah. That was the other day. I wasn't sure about that. That was an old pick or a new one. That was the other day.
Yeah, it was just the other day. Just happened to throw out. I was like, something's got to be here, and trying out some new rigs. Trying to just getting ready for the run. And man, I was that rod bent. I was like, there's no way this is a pompano. It's too cold. And I was like, It is. This is the greatest day ever.
What's your water temp over there right now?
Right now we're about 61, 62.
Okay.
So we're starting to creep back up.
Yeah. Good deal. You going to be fishing Blaine's tournament?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm in Blaine's, and I will be over there at Roy's, too. I'm coming to the East Coast.
Awesome. Well, if you want to swing back by the shop, I think I missed you. Oh, no, you were here for Mark's thing. But if you want to take a peek around, man, we'll show you some of the secrets we can't talk about here.
Ooh. I won't be sad about that. I'd love to see the manufacturing, because I've always wondered, like, how do you do it? And I was like, I can't talk about this on here, but I wanted to see it. That's going to be really fun.
We'll make you sign a paper that says we'll cut your hands off.
I fully accept the NDA. All right. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Have a good one.
We'll talk soon. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was helpful for you. There was a ton of knowledge. I hope you were taking notes, because I know I was catching other things that I'm going to use for later, and you just can't go wrong with it. So stick around. We're going to have more things coming. There's always another episode. I appreciate you. If you learned something from this episode, by all means, please like it, share it, get that information out there. It's going to help somebody, and that's the best part. We're trying to make everybody available to catching fish. We're trying to make everybody better, because if we're not, what are we doing? Really? So I appreciate you. I'm glad you were here. Thanks for listening to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. We will see you all next week. See ya.